Am I audible? Online students? Okay. Now, how do we define an array? Anyone? It is a group of elements of the same data type, same, are referred or accessed or identified by the same name. How the individual elements of an array are accessed? By using the index value. What is the first index value? 0. What is the last index value? N. What is n there? Last index value said n-1. What is n? Size of array. Size of array means, yeah, number of elements stored in that particular array. Okay, very good. Okay. Now in today's class, yesterday we talked about 3 different types of arrays: one-dimensional array, two-dimensional array, and multi-dimensional array. One-dimensional array, how we can identify an array is one-dimensional? Single index. The elements of the arrays are accessed by one index value, whereas in two-dimensional array it is accessed by 2 index values. Okay, now let us declare one array. Okay, suppose if I want to declare an array to store the marks of 5 subjects. Okay, then what I need to do? Int is the data type, then name of the array, I can take it as a m. To make this m as an array, what I should do? Square brackets, and within that 5 in this case. Okay, now what it makes is that m becomes an array here of integer data type and which can store 5 elements. Now once we say that it can store 5 elements, then how to store the elements here? Right, that is the question. Like suppose if there is a simple variable like int n, if I want to store the value in n, what I do? I do the initialization as 10 like this. Int n is equals to 10. That means n is getting initialized with the value 10. Or in other term, we can say the variable n is now storing the value 10. In the same way, now if I want to initialize the elements of the array, then how it can be done? That concept we are going to learn here. There are various approaches in initializing the arrays. The basic or the first type of initialization I will show you here. Like at the time of declaration the array, like int m of 5. Now I know that there are how many elements? 5 elements. Every element of the array I want to initialize with some values. Okay. Now the syntax says that after writing the name of the array, don't put immediately semicolon, but proceed with writing an equal to. Equal to means we are assigning some values, right? Now, how many values I need to assign now? It depends upon the size of the array. In this case, size of the array is what? 5. Means how many values I have to provide now? 5 values, right? Since there are a group of values, those group of values are determined by a pair of flower brackets terminated by semicolon. Within this, I need to specify 5 values. Okay, says the first value, the marks is say 80. Then the second value I want to assign, the second value is separated by a comma. Okay, first value, comma. Now the second value, suppose if I put a 90, this will become the second element's value. Now I want to assign the third value. Then what should I type next? Comma, then the third value, then comma, and then the fourth value, and then say fifth value. Now, this particular statement is declaration of an array along with initialization. Initialization, why we call them? Because at the time of declaring the array by the name m, which can store 5 elements, for all those 5 elements, we are giving the initial values. If you look into here, the syntax is after writing the equal to symbol, a pair of flower brackets we need to place and a semicolon to terminate the statement. And within this particular flower brackets, we need to write the values. And the number of values should be always equal to the size of the array. That is total number of elements what it can store. Okay. And each of the values are separated by a comma. Now, what happens here? When 80, 90, 70, 65, 50 are there, now we know that there are 5 elements. What is the first element of this array? M of 0. First element is M of 0. This M of 0, what is the value? 80. How did you say it is 80? Because in the list, in this particular list, 80 comes first. Means this 80 value is stored or initialized with the first element of the array. What is the first element of the array? M of 0. What is the second element of the array? M of 1. Now M of 1 means what it stores? 90. M of 2, that is third element, what it stores? 70. M of 3, that is fourth element, what it stores? 65. And the last element, that is M of 4, now is storing the 50 value. Understood this one? Whenever we initialize, if you want to initialize the array, this is one of the approach where we are assigning some values to the every element of the array. These values, these numbers should be always equals to the total size of the array. That is the number of elements what that particular array can store. Understood? Yes or no? Okay. Now since I have initialized these values, now if I want to print the same values now, I want to print the values like how? Printf, I want to print. What is the data type here? So it is %d. Okay, I want to print on the next lines every element, so I will put a /n. Then, now I want to display the first element. Right? The first element is what? How it is accessed? M of 0. M of 0. Okay, now, in the same way, the second element, M of 1. Okay, and then the third element, M of 2. Fourth element, M of 3. And the fifth element, M of 4. Now, if I compile and execute this program, 80, 90, 70, 65, and 50 got displayed. Now, look into the program here. Line number 9. What are we displaying? M of 0. M of 0 is what? The first element of the array. In first element of the array, what is stored? 80. So we are getting the output as 80 here. Correct? In the same way, every element of the array, we are just printing the values of those. Okay. Now you may think here, sir, if suppose if the array is consisting of 100 elements and we want to print all those elements, correct? Then we need to write this printf statement 100 times. Now what I have done, there are 5 elements. To print every element, how many printf statements I have written? 5. If there are 100, should I write 100 statements? It is not a best practice. Then there should be an approach to overcome that one. If you carefully observe here, what are we doing in every printf statement? Actually, what all these statements are? Printf. What are we printing? Elements of the array. Isn't it the way repeating the same statements? What is changing? Only the element is changing, right? We have already studied one concept wherein if we want to repeatedly execute certain statements, okay, then we make use of a type of a control statements. What is called as looping statements. It is called as looping statement. Until the condition is true, we can repeat the execution of the statements until the condition is true. So we can make use of the those 3 different types of looping statements here. The most popular one is the for loop. Okay, we will make use of the for loop in order to print all these statements or just to replace all these statements. Let's see how it can be done. Okay, we know that for loop means a for and open bracket. Okay, and like this the structure will go. We need to write the code for the three statements under the for, that is initialization, condition and updation, and the body of the print, body of this for loop. Now here initialization, we require a variable for that, a counter variable. For that, what I will do, I will take an variable int I here. Now I is the counter for the for variable. Okay, now we need to write the initial value. Now look into here. First element is what? 0. First index value is 0. Next time index value becomes 1. Next time index value becomes 2. And last index value is 4. How many values are there? 5 are there. So now I get a hint that always the first element of the array can be accessed by providing the index as 0. Correct? So what will be the initial value for the counter? 0. So I is equals to 0 because I want to start from the index with 0 value. Correct? Then I want to repeat for certain times, right? That certain time is what? The condition. How many times I need to repeat it for? In this example, 5 times, right? Since I am starting from 0, 0th will be considered as first time, then index 1 will be considered as second time, index 2 third time, index 3 fourth time, and index 4 fifth time. So I have to repeat exactly 5 times. Then I need to write the condition here. I less than or equal to 4. Okay. Now, can I write it as less than or equal to 4? Instead of writing less than or equal to 4, can I write it as less than 5? Right? Why I can write 5? Because there are 5 elements in the array. There are 5 elements in the array. So directly I will mention it to be I less than 5 here. Means it will start from 0 and it will end one before value than this particular 5. That is 4. And updation will be what here? I plus plus. Now we know that this particular for loop will now exactly repeat for 5 times. It will start with I value as 0 and the final value for the I will be what? 4. Isn't it? When I becomes 5, will the condition become true there? No, means it will skip here. So we have identified here that this particular for loop will now repeat for exactly 5 times. That is the total number of elements in this array. Okay, now, so we have pretty much done with our 3 statements inside the for, and then we need to write the statement for the definition. Now, what are we going to do? Whenever the condition is true, we are going to print the value of that particular element in the array, right? The statement will be what? To print it is printf. Since the data type is integer, so %d, and I want to print every element on the next line, so slash and I will use double quote complete. And then the thing what we need to understand here, what is the corresponding element we will write here? M of I. First time index value is what? 0. So corresponding element is what? M of 0. Right? If I write here M of in the bracket, every time I want to change the values here. First time it will be 0, second time it will be 1, third time it will be 2, right? Where these 0, 1, 2, 3 are getting stored? They are getting stored in the counter variable I. So here M of I will write here. Okay, now suppose what I will do, I will just comment out all these lines. I will just remove these lines. Now I will execute this program. Okay, now let's see whether what do we get a yes. What are we getting? The same output? Yes or no? But what we have done here? We have reduced the number of lines here, right? Whatever the irrespective of number of elements or size of the array, these lines will just simply display or access the elements and print on the screen. Suppose if you make here, suppose if I make it to be a 10, okay, and I will add few more numbers here. Say 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50. Are they 10 in count? Yes, they are 10 in count. There are 10 elements, but only this line will be useful to print all those 10 elements. If I execute the program now, okay, condition I need to change, right? The condition should be 10 here. Okay. Yes. Now it will print all those 10 elements starting from 80 up to 50. Right? So in general, this particular condition value, that is I less than 10, it may vary depending upon the size of the elements. Understood? Yes. So in this program, so far what we have studied, two concepts. First one is initialization of the array, and second one, accessing or printing the every element in an array using for loop. Whenever we find an array and we want to access every element from first element to the last element, then for loop, what we need to remember is that for I equals to 0, I less than n. N is the number of elements or size of that array, then I plus plus and the corresponding code to print it. And if you want to print m of I, it will be. Followed? Any doubts? If there are any doubts, you may ask questions here. If this is clear, then only we will proceed with the further concepts. Any questions, online students? Don't write down. I will give later. Don't write down. Don't write down. Let's complete it. Few more things are pending here. Let's complete that. Okay. Now here, the array elements are what? These are the array elements. Every time when I execute the programs, the array elements are going to be the same numbers. But I don't want all the every time. I don't want to initialize with these numbers. I want to initialize with my own numbers whenever I execute the program. Like how earlier we were doing to add two numbers. Suppose if I write a program like this, say int a, b, whereas a is 10 and b is 20, and the sum, I will take one more variable here, say sum is equals to a plus b, and I will print the values of that one. Whenever I execute the program, what will be sum value? 30, right? But every time I don't want to happen thus a to be 10 and b to be 20. Instead of that, what we do? We ask user to enter a and b, and we read the values. At the time of reading the values, if I press 100 for a, 200 for b, then 100 plus 200 will be calculated. Depending upon user's choice, we want to initialize the variables, right? In such cases, what we do, instead of writing this one, we write the scanf statements. Scanf %d ampersand name of the variable, ampersand a and ampersand b. Now the same concept we want to apply even for the arrays here. We don't want every time the array to take the same values, these values. Instead of that, we want to initialize based upon what user types on the keyboard. Okay, it can be achieved by writing a statement again using the scanf statement. Okay, now let us see how to do that one. Let me first delete these lines. Let me just declare the variable, that is declare the array. Let's say go with the 5 values. So I'm just declaring an array m. I want to initialize these arrays. Okay, so what I would be doing, I will print one statement, print f, enter array elements. Okay, a message I want to print on the screen. After that, I want to scan the variables. Okay, to read the variables, I know the statement is what? Scanf. Okay, in the scanf, since it is a %d, what I will do? %d, comma, then I want to store in a corresponding values, right? Corresponding element. For the first element, how it is accessed? M of 0, right? So here M of 0, before M of 0, ampersand M of 0, I need to provide. Correct? Second element, scanf, %d, ampersand M of 1. Percentage I missed here, right? Now, how many statements I should write now? Total 5 statements. Now, can we change this? Can we change this one? Instead of writing 5 statements, can I make use of a for loop again here? Yes? Yes or no? Then how can I write the for loop here? For I equals to 0, I less than 5, I plus plus. Now, every time what I need to do? Scan it, right? So, scan F, percentage D, double quote complete. Now, ampersand M of I. Very good. M of I, semi. Now, only these two statements are enough to read all the elements, whatever we type in. How it works, right? Initially, I is 0. Let us understand how these for loops will be working. Initially, I is 0. I less than 5. 0 less than 5 condition is true. Then it will enter into the for loop. Since there is only one statement, I have not written the flower brackets. Okay, then percentage D ampersand M of I. So I want to read. Scanf means it is going to read the value. Whatever the number I type, that is going to store in what? Address of M of I. Okay, if you put an corresponding, let's see here. Let me trace it completely by writing a table. Increase the font size first. Okay, now let's go step by step and tries to trace this particular program. Now, M of 5. Whenever I declare a variable here, now what is going to happen? It is going to create an array. M of 5 means there will be how many elements? 5 elements. So call this to be an array M. There are 5 elements, so 5 cells I will select. Let me put a borders for this. These are the 5 elements. Okay, now just under this, below this one, I'm going to write the index values. First element's index value is what? 0. Next, 1, 2, 3, 4. These are what actually? These are indices. These are indices of the every element of M. Okay, now I is 0. When I is 0, I less than 5. Condition is true. Since condition is true, next it will enter into the for loop. There is a scanf statement. So what this scanf does, I'm going to read a value, that is ampersand M of I. Now M of I means what? I is 0, M of I. This is M of I means this position. In this particular position's value here, whatever number I'm going to type in, it is going to be stored. Suppose if I press marks as 90, that 90 is going to be stored here, M of 0. Then after this statement is getting executed, I plus plus will happen. Next time I will get incremented to 1. 1 less than 5. Condition is true. It will enter into the scanf. Again, M of I. Address of M of I. I value is 1. So address of M of I means in this particular position, it is going to update the value. Say if it is marks is 80. Then again I gets incremented. It goes to the 2 value. 2 less than 5. Condition is true. So if I type another value 70, it will store. It will be get stored in the corresponding element. The next element 65. Next element 50. By this time the index value would have become 4. And then next I plus plus happens. I becomes 5. 5 less than 5 condition false. And it will come out of the for loop. So by this time what has happened? Whatever the 5 values I have entered are stored in the respective array elements of M with the corresponding index values. Okay, now next I'm just going to display those elements. Let's write one more statement here. Print F. Okay, let's start with one empty line. Okay, array elements are, okay, then these will be printed. Now what will happen? Let us see here. Again, let me change this value back to 5 here in this case. Okay. Again, I becomes what? 0. Okay. 0 less than 5, true. It will enter into the for loop. Again, here also we can remove these brackets. It is not necessary. Okay. Then it is going to access m of 0. In m of 0, what is stored? 90. So 90 will get printed. Then I plus plus will happen. I will become 1. Then condition 1 less than 5, true. Then m of 1. What is m of 1? 80. 80 will be printed. Then I plus plus, I becomes 2. 2 less than 5, condition is true. Then m of 2. M of 2 is 70. So every element starting from the first index value, that is 0th index value up to the 4th index value, every element will be fetched and it will get printed. And next time I becomes 5, but the condition 5 less than 5 becomes false. It will come out of the form. Okay, let us check it out by running the program. Enter array elements. Now how many numbers I should enter here? 5 elements. There are 2 ways. One is you can enter the numbers like 90 space 80 space 70 60 50. All these numbers are separated by space. Okay, and press enter button. After doing that, what we get here? Array elements are 90, 80, 70, 60 and 50. Suppose next time, suppose once again I execute the program. Okay, again it will ask enter array elements. Now this time I may enter 80 for the first value. Now instead of typing the space, I can even press on enter button also. Okay, then I can enter the second number. Second number say 67. Then instead of space, I can type enter. Then 76. Then 55. Then 78. Press enter. Now look at here. I did not use the space, but rather I pressed on the enter button. How many numbers it has taken? Only 5 numbers. After the 5th number it took, that is 78, immediately it went with the displaying statement. Either you can use space to separate between the numbers. In that case, you should be sure that you are entering the same number of elements which should match with the size. Otherwise, make use of the enter button. Enter a type a number, press enter. Keep on doing until it accepts, and then once it stops, the further code will be executed. Followed? Yes? Any doubts? Now you can write down this code. Online students, write down this program in your notebook. You can shortenize this as well. You can write this I here also. Okay. I will just put some comments here for your understanding. So here I will put a comment to read or to initialize array elements. Okay, and then the next code here, this code is for to access every element in the array and print. Completed? Shall I move to the next one? Okay. Okay. Now, the same program what we had here, let us try to improvise this code in order to calculate array elements, whatever we have entered, the sum of all the array elements. Okay, like say, write a program. Okay, write down simultaneously. C program to calculate total and percentage of a student's marks. Assume that there are 5 subjects. Assume that there are 5 subjects. Okay. Now, to make it a more general, usually what we do, we will give some bigger value like 10. Okay, 10. Suppose if I want to enter the total number of subjects as 5, I can take that value and store. Or if later, if suppose if I think that there are some 7 subjects, I can take it to be a 7 subjects. That size we can change it. How to change? Let us see here. Okay, so here the size I have taken little bigger number as 10. So at the maximum it can store 10 elements. Okay, now I want to display a statement saying that printf, okay, enter the total number of subjects. Based upon this value, I am going to construct the size of the marks or size of the array here. Okay, scanf %d, then ampersand. I will take one variable as n here. This n will give me the total number of subjects which are there. Based upon this n, the array will get created later. The elements will be determined based upon this n. And I will ensure that, I will have to ensure that this n should be less than or equals to this 10. Okay, now, next, after that, I will specify a statement, enter, instead of array elements, I will make it to be enter marks of every subject. Okay, then here the condition I less than 5. This 5 will now change to 10 or n. N. It will change to n because based upon this n value, whatever I enter, based upon this n has to be taken. Okay, then the remaining code will remain same. Then I need to calculate what? Total, and then print the marks. Now, to calculate total, what I should do? I require a variable for that. Okay, so I will declare a variable here by the name total, and for percentage also I will take it to be PER. P here should be integer or something else? Float, right? So here I will take float PER. Okay, now what I need to do is that I want to access every elements. Let me remove this line also. So for I equal to 0, I less than n, I plus plus. Every time I don't want to print them, but rather what I want to do, I want to just access the element and add it into my sum variable, right? Sum in the sense here it is total. Let us call initial value of total is 0. So first time when I access the first element, I'm going to update my total with total plus first element. How the first element is accessed? M of I. That 0 is here, it is I. Now, what is going to happen is that, think here, there are, say, 5 subjects are there. These are the values which we have entered. Okay, then line number 18, I equals to 0. Is less than 1 minute. Okay, online students, please enter your attendance. Be quick. Enter your attendance. Two more. Enter your attendance. Online students. Okay, let's do one thing. Don't have enough time. We'll continue.